great sex then leads you to be more emotionally and physically connected. So it's kind of like a spiral. So one thing doesn't happen, the second thing doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And does that make? I know it makes sense, but is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I know you have counseled couples, or you tell me the story. You share some of the stories. So you tell the audience the story. You sometimes your prescription has been, hey, you tell the story. Hey, sex. You guys aren't having sex, which is a big part of the problem. So here's what I need you to do. Tell some of those stories.
So usually I have to remove whatever their think that's in the way, because usually there's something in the way that's stopping them.
So sex is more of the symptom, not the lack of sex is more the symptom, not the problem.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Got you. Keep going.
So so I'll usually say something like, we need to move up to that, or the progression to sex, and we need to be intentional about it.
Hey,
it's important that you guys make that connection. Once they make that connection, that's a start to even better connection.
Okay, so these couples know they haven't been having sex. They know that's not the norm, right?
But they're busy. It's just like, I just don't have time. I'm exhausted. I'm busy. It could be I'm going to say I had one client. She was in school. She had just had a baby, and she was working part-time.
She was in school. I follow you.
And of course, her body, she's exhausted. She's tired. So yeah, she doesn't want to have sex or whatever. But and you'll lose your connection, and we'll talk more about that. But you will lose your connection if you don't put sex in there, have sex in the relationship.
I find
it's designed. God designed it for a reason.
I don't find it hard to believe. I find it fascinating to hear that you could actually get that busy.
That's what I say sometimes. I'm like, so you guys are so busy, you can't even have sex, a fast sex thing, And a lot of them will say, no, they don't have time. But something else is usually in the way.
Yeah. I see.
It's usually something else in the way.
That makes more sense.
It is.
So it's not we're too busy to have sex.
Right. It's something.
It's that we're so disconnected. I'm not really that interested in having sex.
Right.
Is really more.
It could have been something said, something done, a resentment is there somewhere down the line, somewhere in the way.
So we've been married 40 years. I'm trying to think. I ain't sure I've ever been that mad. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sure I've ever been that mad.
You really?
Yeah.
Where you couldn't have sex?
And I know I ain't ever been that busy.
Really?
No. Matter of fact, I'll skip stuff.
You will.
Yeah.
And you will.
Yeah, I'll skip stuff.
You have been intentional.
Hey, Jim, I got an
times.
emergency over here. Hey, man, I can't come right now.
Okay.
I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
But let me say this. I do want to be sensitive to those who are having some problems with sex. It sometimes have to start, in counseling, you have to start to move some stuff out of the way. You need to, but then you need to want to go down that path, because if you're going to be with someone, it's important. It's so important that you guys connect on this level. We want to just emphasize that.
Okay. All right. You also talk about, have we already covered this? Disconnection in one area often impacts the other. So we kind of
have talked about that, where any kind of disconnection in the relationship will flow over into many, many aspects of the relationship.
All right, Teresa, so let's try to bring in, which everything we do hopefully is rooted from a biblical perspective. And here's what God said. God invented sex. God invented the whole idea behind intimacy, emotional closeness, physical closeness. So from a faith-based lens, you talk about God designed human love to be both emotional and physical.
Yes.
What are you saying?
So in a marriage, we reflect his covenant love by pursuing both heart and body.
Okay.
So you got it?
I got
heart
you.
and body with honor and intention.
Okay.
You like that word? That's your word.
That is my word.
So the Song of Solomon is a beautiful example of how emotional admiration and physical desire go hand in hand. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I'm very familiar with the Song of Solomon. Then you cite some other scriptures. You talk about Genesis and Adam knew Eve.
Right.
The word "knew" implies deep intimacy, not just physical intimacy, but emotional and spiritual union.
Right.
You talk about emotional intimacy invites physical closeness.
Right. Right.
Going. Okay.
And physical closeness deepens emotional intimacy. So we're going over and over with this. Like you say, I started from one area and I'm coming on down. But the whole point of this whole thing is together, the emotional closeness, the physical closeness, all of that, they create strong, resilient connections. When a weather, let's say when there's a storm, when in our relationship, when there's a hard, difficult time in a relationship,
which everybody's gonna have.
Right, we've had it, but it doesn't mean that if we're connected, we got power to move on, through that hard time.
Hey, so speaking of hard times, let's take a page from our own book. So we've shared the story before how. We lost everything. We lost our home. We had our cars repossessed. I've pawned my wedding ring to buy grocery twice. Got $300.
I know. I remember that.
So during that time, I think we've talked about this before, but during that really season, we weren't sure where we were going to live.
Right. It was difficult.
It was difficult.
It was hard.
Did you feel that we were less connected? What did you feel? I don't
Well,
know
like
if we've
I
ever
say,
talked about this. Matter of fact, maybe we should pause the video right now to actually talk about it.
No, let's just talk about it.
I don't know what you're going to say.
Okay, let's just talk about it here. But no, I never felt that's what I'm saying. When those hard times come, if you have that base of connection, being together, you've worked through things. You're not leaving stuff hanging out. And when I say hanging out, I mean like unresolved conflict. Then you can weather the storm, whatever comes. And so with us, when we went through that hard time, we kind of went toward each other, not away from each other. We united. We came together. We had a base of being heard, being seen. We had a good base so that we could weather a very difficult time in our relationship. So I think we did well together.
But we didn't have a conversation that I remember. Hey, Teresa, we're going through a really difficult time.
No, we didn't.
It's more important than ever that we pull closer together. That wasn't a conversation.
No, it wasn't a conversation. That's why, in a relationship, when you're dealing with any kind of human being, period, a person wants to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to be respected, they just want to be loved, especially if they're in this type of relationship. And so that is so important to keep that going, being intentional, doing different things. Like we'll get to that a little bit later. But that's what helps you deal with any kind of hard situation. Wow.
So since we know what's that adage, trouble or storms, you're either coming out of a storm, in a storm, or a storm's headed toward you. So we know that trouble comes. So these are some precautionary things that you can be doing when trouble comes. And maybe your trouble won't be like our trouble, where it's bankruptcy, it's home foreclosure, it's car repossessions. So prayerfully, your situation will be milder than that. But we were prepared, and even now doing this show, it's like, looking back in hindsight, it's like I can see clear how our pain was part of our purpose.
Yes, looking back.
But you said that often.
I did. I saw it before you did.
You did see it before I did. You talking crazy. Pain part of your purpose. I don't want to hear that. so yeah, you did.
Well, nobody wants to go through pain, but pain is a part of life. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wow.
Well, I don't know if I'm sorry or not, because pain will help you grow and learn.
So hey, we're going off script here.
Oh, we did. But
I want you to know the question. So, are you saying, sitting here today? What are you saying? I'm glad we went through it, or I'm not glad about it, but I see. What are you saying?
I'm saying God taught us a beautiful lesson through the hard, difficult financial time that we went through. That's what I'm saying today.
Okay.